It's that time of the year again. Crystal ball gazing, the mecca for risk managers, where the visionaries and the vibrant converge to take a peek into the future.
Will 2020 end the slowdown? Will the dust settle on trade war? Will the year bring a solution or more challenges?
Let's take a dive right in to get all the answers.
Welcome to the 4th annual edition of Crystal Ball Gazing. This time we are going to be gazing into 2020 and beyond.
Building on the tradition of covering geopolitics, macros and financial markets, Vedi this year added a new dimension, that of emerging consumer behavior.
The other panel gave an insider perspective of managing and leveraging risks in these times. In a world increasingly governed by Twitter diplomacy, how does one make sense of shifting power dynamics?
Let's hear it from Ambassador Bhatia.
We are already in the multipolar world and we will march further into that direction, which means that global decisions will not be taken only in Washington and Beijing. They will be taken in at least 6 or 7 major power centers.
Spend time with an economist and the recession will only seem longer.
Yes, Sachin said that and went on to reveal that inflation can actually be good for the economy. Can you believe that?
I think globally we need to recognize this. The challenge of the rich and developed world is collapse of inflation. And somehow we borrowed some of those concepts and we have institutionalized them into policy. We need some bit of inflation to rescue both the producers and the consumers.
Market guru Navneet was most optimistic on India becoming a 5 trillion economy. He said the right question to ask is when, not if.
So we are $2,000 per capita. We are exactly where US was in 50s. We are exactly where UK was in 60s, Japan in 70s, Korea and Taiwan in 80s, and China was just there 2002-3. So we are not very far from that.
Abhijit made the audience sit up and take note of the fact that the consumer has now moved from demanding value for money to offering money for value.
For me, the concept of a zero moment of truth was the moment of truth.
When we studied MBA a few decades ago, we are given a thumb rule internationally. If a consumer is satisfied with a product, he will probably share it with 5 people. If a consumer was dissatisfied with a product, he or she will share it with 21 people. Today, it is more like 1 million and 21 million because you will post it everywhere possible. So therefore, any bad experience, it has a cascading effect.
It is said, never waste a good crisis.
And Partha shared his mool mantras to make this possible.
They are yield, climb, unmix, fable and prime, these 5 words. And I'll explain one word each. Yield is ruthless focus on getting returns for the company. Climb means that you cannot stand at the same place and you have to invest for future. Unmix is, how do you not bring too much complexity into the business? How do you simplify? The 4th one is fable, which is basically saying, how do you bring narratives to help the company? So we got to kind of build narratives which build the positive moment. Either you are in a doom loop or in a boom loop. And the last one is prime. So and prime means compliance as a rule book and governance as gospel.
The panelists also delved into the hidden risks in cross-border transactions, inorganic growth and cyberspace.
A crystal ball is meant to make things clear, but our audience was confused. On one hand, there was complete optimism on India's future, but not one person in the audience felt that we could reach the 5 trillion mark by 2025.
Every game needs a finisher, and what we saw that day was a classic MS Dhoni style finish. Dr. Goenka played the man of the match, and the questions he raised had the audience spellbound.
How is India stronger for doing business in Africa today than it was 5 years ago? If I fast forward 10 years from now, then how does a established business, older business like Mahindra, compete with a new co that is paying 15% tax, whereas we are paying 25% tax? I have to earn 13% more. Concern that it brings to me is if we succeed in getting 25 crores people out of agriculture, where do they go? There is no place for them to go. Today, we are not able to generate jobs for the million new people who are coming into the job market every month. How you approach the consumer? Do you approach the end consumer? Let the end consumer pull for your product through the intermediary? Or do you forget the end consumer and say, intermediary is my buyer, so I need to work on that intermediary?
We are in the midst of
not enough people perceive it of a fight between government regulators versus market. We are in the midst of that fight because of a lot of social factors. And I believe in politicians, in governments and regulators will show to the markets who wears the pants.
Lots of food for thought. I need to do my own crystal ball gazing.
And so should you. On that note, thank you for joining us.
We wish you a happy and rewarding 2020.